content over everything.
For that long.
But I'm saying with like conquerors, it's like from Templars, going places, pillaging, raping, sacking. This thing, it's quite inherently elite, quite inherently British.
And there's many sides to this problem. They all have to be dealt with independently. You can't say, well, we can't talk about policing because you haven't dealt with the vulnerable
let's talk about
girls.
everything. That's the whole point. Let's put everything on the table.
That's it.
Let's not ignore, you know, the log in your eye for the speck in your brother's.
Yeah. So people see what has happened around the Jimmy Savile and the seriousness of the reaction to that and all the work that's been done, so it can't happen again. And they see that that's really serious. So you're not going to get people jumping up and down and marching in the streets for something that they can see has been taken seriously.
But the only thing is,
it's still not happening. There are still people.
I want to address this. Jimmy Savile only happened in the last 5 years?
Yeah.
We knew way before that. It's been a known thing. We've had a paedophile problem.
It's institutional as well.
If you go on the Sun, you just see mugshot after mugshot after mugshot.
That's a good point. It's institutional.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He used
so to say that because
Weinstein
after Jimmy
case.
Savile, we're now introducing safeguards. No, sorry, that's not. You would never give that. You would never give that kind of slack to the Muslim community. So I want to know, what have white communities been doing, right? When we found out that the church was abusing children, and this was in the 90s, what have you guys been doing since then?
Well,
I
think we should try and avoid that way of thinking. That we can't sort out this thing until you've sorted out that thing.
No, it's not that.
We're saying do it both simultaneously.
It's not that.
Because
what
it
should do, yeah.
Yeah, so everything should be on the table.
We can
it
do
shouldn't
it,
be highlighting the mishaps of one ethnic, or what seems to be the mishaps of one ethnic group of people, yeah, and ignore the mishaps that are going on in your community predominantly and other communities as well.
You know, the way the authorities are responding to the grooming gang issue, they're referring to all things that they decided to do after the Jimmy Savile. So if you have a look in the response to the grooming gang petition in Parliament, what they say they're going to do is all what they did in response to the Jimmy Savile thing. It's like they've done all of that, but they're not doing anything further on grooming gangs. There isn't enough statistics. So people, even from Pakistani Muslim heritage, are asking the Home Secretary to commission research now because we don't understand.
Are there white people involved in these grooming gangs? The same grooming gangs which we predominantly are saying are Pakistani Muslim gangs. Are there white people involved facilitating?
Well, this will come out in the research, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying in the stuff that you've seen prior, because I've heard and I've seen that quite briefly that there are white women and white men that are involved in these rings as well.
If there are 20 MPs writing to the Home Secretary saying there's not enough evidence, I'll believe that they've looked into it and they don't see enough evidence. If there's not enough evidence,
then why are we spewing this narrative that is Muslims and
Pakistanis?
You don't have enough
evidence.
It's conjecture.
There was the Times had a campaign for about 4 years to highlight every single.
The Times. I'm gonna point this out. The Times, yeah, they did a study, right, and this is where this all began from, right? For 17 years, right, they found 14 cases, right? Out of those 14 cases, which were basically, they searched for articles under grooming gangs again, right? They found a majority of Muslims and a minority of white people and so on, right? The CEOP responded by doing a similar study. They were able to find 100 more cases where it was white groomers. How were the Times able to miss those 100 that the COP, which is a body, COP, Child Exploitation Operation Protection, right? Online protection, were able to find 100 more cases which the Times weren't. And this is where this all stems from.
Are you conflating online grooming from one single person to conflating that with gang grooming?
Statistics being quoted 17 years ago. Times they are changing fast.
Say that again?
Times are changing. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Times they are changing fast. Wait, 17.
So we need up-to-date statistics.
17 years ago, it doesn't happen in the accelerated times of things happening now. So I'm just hearing statistics. And as someone once said, there's lies, there's damn lies in the statistics.
Well, 100%. No, I'm just basically breaking down why.
What's the topic, by the way?
The grooming gangs. The grooming gangs. I'm just breaking down basically how you define a valid study from an actual kind of like butch kind of like made up study within the first 5 minutes of being made up. Exactly. Now, the people who made the time study didn't even say what method they used, meaning that it couldn't be replicated. They didn't have. Raj,
come
I want a word. I want a word.
Come on, clean this shit.
It couldn't be.
Studies are by groups who've got an agenda before they start the study. The findings are found before the studies commence.
It's the same with the bell curve. They wanted to cherry pick certain statistics, fit their narrative, and that's it. They didn't want to hear anymore. This is why we need peer review, and this is why we need actual research. Because if you can't peer review and it can't be replicated, your results are they're not worth the grain, the piece of paper they're written on. So
it's a matter of credibility.
Of course.
Okay, I'm off. I'm going to wander around.
Thank you.
At least they're honest, yeah.
There's so many people who are now convinced that there is a Pakistani Muslim, Asian Muslim, or however you wish to describe it. I think,
which is why I asked you what specifically. Like, I can see why the Pakistani thing might be a thing.
You said that last time. You said that last time.
No. Is what I want to.
You said that last time.
And
you need to stop lying.
That there is an Islamic quality.
You need to stop lying. That's fine.
Pakistani grooming.
For 2 weeks.
Asian grooming gangs.
I met you 2 weeks ago. No. I met you 2 weeks ago. I met this guy 2 weeks ago, and he admitted to himself he doesn't know the numbers. So he said he's going to go home and read the numbers. I know this guy hasn't read anything because he's still spewing the same rhetoric 2 weeks on. So I'm asking you, come here.
You don't ask me to come over, I won't come.
Come on, man, let's hear this shit.
Are you my master?
Say that again?
Are you my master? Are you my master?
Are you a researcher?
Because you're telling me to come over.
Are you a researcher?
You come over to me then.
Are you a researcher?
You come over to me.
Are you a researcher?
If you were standing, Raj.
I understand. If you're worried about your credibility.
He's not standing on truth.
He's a liar, man. He's a liar. Let him come. But yeah, sorry. That has to be done.
Sorry, I was just asking.
Hamza.
You left Hamza hanging on the camera, man. That's
I
just want to go back to the
I
fact
really love the
that
way
there are
you
so many Muslim organisations that have said that they think they have some responsibility and they are wanting to do something. They want to be at the forefront of the action. And they're saying this was in 2013. The Islamic Society of Britain was saying that we can't wait another 5 years, 10 years and not do anything.
But my question to you was, for me, I could look at it and quite easily see a link between these so-called Islamic associations and the gangs. The link being the ethnicity, not the religion, right? And seen as these people are supposedly the spiritual leaders of their.
But they've recognised there's all these organisations. So they recognise there's a problem. If they've got a partial responsibility.
If you're saying that they've recognised that they've got responsibility, that means you are saying indirectly they have said, that there's something Islamic, Islamically wrong, that is being held.
I'm taking their word for it. They've admitted that they have some partial.
But when we say other things,
But I don't understand. I give you numbers, right, from the people who are entrusted by the government to research these statistics. You say that, no. But you're taking the word of people who I know personally haven't read the actual numbers.
I think.
And it has been 2 weeks. We had this discussion before, so you've had time to look up the numbers.
I have looked at it, and there seems to be a mixing up of single people who are groomers and the gangs that are grooming.
There's no mix-up at all. There's type 1 and type 2.
I need to do some more research into that.
There's type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is an extension of type 1. Please tell me, right? Any paedophile that has got to a child without grooming, can you name one?
Say that again.
Can you name a child? Can you name someone that's got to a child without grooming?
You tell me what.
So separating the two, you can't separate the two. They're intrinsically the same.
You are conflating these figures.
It's not conflating. This is the CEOP definition. You guys are making your own definitions by trying to separate the two.
Okay. So I was right then when I thought you are putting the figures together.
So tell me type 1 and type 2.
Well, as I understand it, one is around group grooming.
One
and the
type
other one is about
Go on.
Well, you probably know it better than me.
Type 1 defines, right?
Yeah.
People who groom people out of coercion, power play, offering them rewards, and all those kinds of themes there, right? Type 2, right, are people who do the same thing as type 1, but they do it because they have an intrinsic attraction an exclusive attraction to children. The difference being is that type 1, they don't matter who their attraction is to. They'll abuse anyone if the circumstances are there. Type 2, they prefer children. They only deal in children.
So you are putting the two figures together, the two statistics.
I'm not putting the two statistics. I'm not putting the two.
Putting type 1 and type 2 together.
The CEOP made this definition, and this is where you're getting your definition from. So for you to change the definition of people, right, who are entrusted to check this research, where do you have the power for that?
Sounds like you're conflating the two, 1 and 2 together.
I've read the definition. How can I conflate a definition that I have read?
No, but this type 1 and type 2.
But have you read the stats? You're saying he's conflating it, but have you read the stats? Do you know them? Because you could have possibly ascertained that.
I've not done the read. You said you've been.
So can you explain what you mean by conflating?
You're putting the figures and the statistics for type 1 and type 2 together, and then reading it as one.
No, because I haven't found any statistics along those lines. I've only read the statistics that have been allocated to type 2.
But that's the basis of your argument, though.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
No? It seemed that
that's
way
not
to
the basis of my argument at all.
Can you see the way I might have thought that?
So
Because I've seen people online who
I'll
have
say the
done
definitions
exactly
again. I will
that,
say the
put two
definitions
together.
again. Type 1, you have abusers, right, that sexually abuse people, right, using certain methods such as grooming, blackmail, coercion, rewards, stuff like that, right? And then you have type 2, people who groom just children because they only have an attraction to children. Now understand this, right? How can you be a type 2 abuser without going through type 1 methods?
Okay, so you're trying to mix the two up then?
I'm not. This is the CEOP. This is what they've defined it as. So don't please, if you want to say someone's conflating, go to the CEOP and tell them you're conflating two things that we don't want. Please don't tell me that I read the definition wrong when I read the definition and you clearly have.
He's not even conflating. He's asking you to say, how can you separate between the two?
Well,
how does that actualize?
They've come up to their conclusion
I've
and
asked.
separated
I've
it.
asked.
I'm not an expert in this.
No,
I can just see that there are type 1 and type 2, and I see you mixing them all up together
Okay,
and
I'll
then
ask you
telling
again.
everybody
I will
about the whole
But you're saying he's mixing it up, but you haven't read the stats.
I'll ask him again.
not read
How
the
can you be a type 2 abuser without using type 1 methods?
I don't know.
How can you get a child to do what you want without either grooming them, blackmailing them, coercing them, or offering them rewards? Because that's type 1. And you say type 1 is completely different to type 2. So what methods do type 2 use in order to get their children?
I'm not an expert in this, but I see you.
You're the one saying that I'm conflating, so I'm asking you to back that up.
Okay, well, I'll have to go away again for another couple of weeks.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. I admire that. That's fair enough. I prefer learning rather than staying in your.
But my observation is that you're mixing them up, and you've confirmed that in what you've said.
If that's what you believe, then that's what you believe.
What you seem to be saying is that type 1 and type 2 can't be separated.
They can't.
Yes, however they are separated.
But that's the thing.
The
CEOP actually said the people who did the articles, right, conflated their definition and changed it completely. Type 2 was made as a extension of type 1 to separate people who were doing it because they liked children and people who wanted it for personal gain. There's a big difference between abusers and people who genuinely just have a thing for children.
So if you like type A and type AB.
So picture it this way. Don't picture it as two sides. Picture it as here's type 1 and it's a branch going down at type 2.
Well, the gangs, I've heard people say that they are targeting girls for their vulnerability, and there might be some motivation, which could be religious or racial. So
what would the religious motivation be?
Well, that girl could be white, for example. So an Asian guy might say that is a lesser person because they're white, and that could be the racial motivation. Okay. And the religious motivation could be that person, I'm of a certain religion, and that girl isn't. Therefore, that person is a lesser person. Okay. So that's the religious.
So I'll ask you two questions. Yeah. is there anything inherently in Islam, yeah, which says that a Muslim man or a Muslim individual can groom somebody of another religion? And number two, if it is racially motivated, how comes we don't see more examples of other ethnicities within this grooming problem and it's solely white girls?
Well, like I say, it might be a cultural or ethnic thing, but people take advantage of other races all the way around the world.
Yeah, so I'm saying in these grooming gangs, in these recent ones that have come to light where Tommy Robinson highlights them, I haven't seen any black girls, I haven't seen any Asian girls, I haven't seen, there may have been, but I haven't seen...
the focus is on white.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Well, Raj, he said that there was a problem with Sikh girls being...
Raj doesn't read his numbers.
Yeah.
He doesn't read his numbers.
I think it was anecdotal from West
right,
London.
that's what-
Yeah,
Some
but
years ago.
you can't, exactly, because anecdotes, you can use anecdotes if you're an idiot, but I'm not being rude. There's
I
so many.
thought you were.
No, sorry. There's so many people here who can draw anecdotes saying that they've met Muslims who don't abuse for the majority of us.
I think it's, as a Muslim, I think it's repulsive. I think it's...
Can I quickly just say as well, can I quickly just say, this idea that it's white girls in particular who are being groomed and so on and so on, that's false, because white girls are underrepresented when it comes to abuse victims. They're 60%. 81% of the population is British, so they're underrepresented. 30% are Asian. So why would someone who's grooming girls for Islam groom his own? Unless he didn't really care for skin color at all. Because you're trying to make out that they're grooming white girls in particular. Because the religion says that they are prime pickings. What I'm trying to say in particular,
I'm saying as a Muslim, for me, there's no looking
what
into
I'm trying to say in particular, that there's an
grooming is forbidden Islamically.
There's an overrepresentation of Asian girls who are groomed, and most of these are possibly Muslim girls. So they're grooming their own, plus they're grooming other people.
They don't
so
care
where
who
are
they're
you exactly?
grooming.
No, but we know this. We know this. We need to clear the fact that other people don't. So I want to know where you get this idea that it's solely white girls and it's solely white girls in particular who are being targeted.
From the newspapers, from the press.
There you go.
No, he's been honest about it.
No, it's just because
The next question: who's running the newspapers? Why?
Exactly. No, that's where it gets a bit tedious. Who runs these newspapers? What are their political leanings? Right. I was going to say conservative leanings, but that's a bit biased.
Thousands of people who get their information like this.
No, I understand.
So we want to know what's happening. What's the real story?
When I say to you it's not Islamic, would you accept that from me, or do you think I'm doing taqiyya, like I'm doing Islamic form of lying and covering up?
I was
just
listening
to
to
make myself
someone
look better?
the other day, the other week, and as Muslim, he explained to me how a Muslim person might see that someone who wasn't Muslim would be a lesser person, or someone who is a Muslim is a superior person and a non-Muslim is not superior. It might be termed
So
in those ways.
that would lead them to treat them as a lesser person.
Yes, it could be a possibility that people of one type might think another type is a lesser person. Yeah. Okay. They might convince themselves of something like that, and it might not necessarily be in Islam. You can read it like that, but
I don't mean to smoke screen here in particular.
You're not in there, so you're.
No, I understand.
I was going to get out there.
I just wanted to throw in a quick question, just a quick one. It's like you don't have to answer it. But what in Islam told the Oxfam volunteers to go to Haiti and abuse Haitian citizens?
You've got a knack of asking these questions that don't have a very easy.
No, I'm just saying. There's similar crimes that can be done in the same similar kind of like grand scale that have nothing to do.
Questions.
That's why I said you didn't have to answer it. That's why I said. But God.
I'll give you an example. I used to live in Asia, in Southeast, in China, places like that.
Yeah. Oh
You
Lord.
should see the white guys
Oh,
with the young
yeah,
girls.
abusing, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Who told them to go and abuse young
Even young
Asian girls?
I mean,
It's a possibility. They took an advantage, didn't they?
They saw them being vulnerable,
Yeah.
and that's why they
They're
did it.
taking advantage.
Specifically as well, they come back here and they tell people how easy it is to go in there, and that's a race thing. That's a race thing.
Yeah.
But you can't draw that same parallel here because, again, you guys, you guys have the power here. Like, for the most part, you are
you
the
can go
majority.
around
You have
as
the
well.
power.
And you
So
can
you
go
have the
around.
establishment behind you. And you have the government behind you. You have so many authorities that you can go to get these things addressed.
Well, you say that,
But you don't.
There's all these guys behind Tommy Robinson. They don't seem to have succeeded
That's so weird.
in getting anything done.
That's so weird because everyone here who's Muslim, right? I've never seen any conviction for child grooming or anything like that. Tommy Robinson in particular, in the EDL, there's various like convictions for child pornography, child rape, and so and so. So when we're talking about Tommy Robinson holding people accountable, please, like, do you know what I mean?
Makes sense.
You know, like someone who allows his own flock to abuse girls. I'm not going to use as an example as like having a clear conscience. No way.
He's got no control over. I mean, if you take a
Neither
section
do
of the
Muslims.
Double standard much.
Yeah, neither do Muslims. They don't have control over their
Apply
whole
the same
flock.
rules. Apply the same rules to Muslims as you do.
Look, if
Come on, man.
if
I
I could,
can't control black people. Just as much as I want to, I can't control black people. Hey,
So why are you expecting him to control?
I'm not. But he's expecting Muslims to control their own flock. How can they do that?
Do you think he's really expecting that?
Oh,
He wants to.
costing the taxpayers 10 million.
I have to admit, I mean, just reading about those grooming gangs, they drank, they took drugs, and I don't know many Muslims who condone
Brazil, Colombia, now they're going to Colombia. They kill children. 5 years old.
So saying, man.
And deliberately they're going there. 5 years old.
5 years.
regarding the superiority and inferiority complex regarding Islam, there is a level of truth to that. But I just want to mention something that precedes that. From the major sins in Islam, one of them is killing someone you have no right to kill, and the second is fornication. Now, fornicating, is having sexual activity with anybody, who is not your wife, or in the times of slavery, those slave girls that you possessed. Slavery is gone now, so that's not really a category we can go to. Bearing in mind, Allah says about the person, He says, وَلَا يَزْنُونَ وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ ذَلِكَ يَلْقَ أَثَامًا يُضَاعَفْ لَهُ الْعَذَابُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. On the day of judgment, the people who fornicated, their punishment is double, it's twofold, and they will remain in the fire humiliated. That you can find in chapter 25, Surah Al-Furqan. I don't know what the verse. So Allah is making a clear injunction about fornicating. It's not permissible for me to touch a woman that I'm not related to, let alone groom her, right? So when people use this inferiority or superiority thing, I'm a Muslim, therefore I can groom a non-Muslim, they've misunderstood the text.
I haven't even read it.
They've cleared.
no
In fact,
basis.
they have used what they've used the text for is to satisfy their evil lust and desires. It's not an Islamic injunction for you to look.
Here's the thing.
Abrahamic faith.
I was going to say in particular, right? We were talking about South. We were talking about.
To lessen their crime. To say, blame the religion. We didn't need to do it. It was a religious fault.
I was going to say in particular, say it was Southern Asia.
Well, when I was in
Southeast
China,
Asia,
I worked in China, and you see very old Western men, very young.
very-
No, I don't know whether they were
Like your
underage.
age.
I don't know.
But I was
5 years old.
going to say an example of that would be like me taking the words of Churchill, right, when he called Indian people, right, so dirty that they can't even look after themselves and they mate like rabbits, they mate like crazy. Taking that and then going abroad and abusing people, that's not. Churchill didn't tell me to do that. Like, no matter how you take something, like, someone's always going to take it differently. You can't then hold someone else accountable for the misinterpretation of his words. So,
I was going to say, Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and any other of its offshoots, inherently are supremacist religion, and I say that as an adherent. They say that the followers of that religion, that the people that actually embody the statues, not just people who claim it, are better, spiritually than other non-Muslims. I get non-Muslims may feel that's an issue. What I'm trying to tell you is, listen, even though I feel that and I believe that, that doesn't mean that hasn't changed my treatment of you today. It hasn't changed my treatment of my brother standing to me to the left. right? It hasn't changed the treatment of the people, the many people that I work with and can testify to you that actually Issa's got a good character. Well, I think this is going to end soon. Still, I've got to run.
No, that's important to emphasise that, because that can be misconstrued, can't it? If you think, if I think that you think that I'm lesser than you, then how are we going to get on in this society?
It's not even that you are lesser than me. You're not, because if you do something wrong and I do something wrong, we'll equally be punished for it.
That's it.
It's just to say that the way of lifestyle, if followed, is more superior to a lesser lifestyle.
That's a lot of the problem now, even with religion, politics, whatever. It's that thing of the whole "I'm holier than thou," which doesn't make you accountable, but it makes everyone else accountable. And this is why people can't even talk to each other like human beings.
It's true, but you find this even within you find this even within the religious infrastructure,
literally,
where you have two people who pray in the same mosque, in the same line, and one saying, "I'm better than you because I follow this guy, and you're and you're not because you follow somebody else."
To the point where you're killing each other now.
Right, spilling blood. But the point is, look, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was and people might not agree, but he's the epitome of Muslim character. If you're gonna say something's Islamic, then it would be his character. Yeah, he did not go about saying I'm superior over him or I'm inferior over him, so I'm gonna treat him rubbish, I'm gonna treat him bad. In fact, what you find is non-Muslims coming to the Prophet for judgment, and Muslims running away from him because they knew that what they had done was wrong and the Prophet would judge against them. If we as Muslims judge biasly for our own, then there would be no chopping off the hands for the Muslim, because they're in our countries, we chop off Muslim hands, right? So barbaric, people say. And the people that do crimes are the ones that are punished, and they're Muslim. They're not non-Muslim most of the time. So
I've been seeing that there's a video doing the rounds on the internet. There's this Australian guy, Mohammed Hebro, and he's shouting on this video to his members of his congregation, I think, telling Muslims they've got to pray. Now, he says if you miss one prayer, then that's worse than doing the worst sin that you can think of. So stop this not praying business. So if you miss one prayer, you're worse than the worst that you could be. Think of all the worst things you can do and do them in that one day. You could be a murdering paedophile.
Yeah. I don't know where he got that from. That sounds messed up.
The only thing. I just want to say in particular, we need to realise that we need to take messages in particular a little bit more nuanced. I think people hear messages, especially when they want to hear it in a bad light, and they take it completely literally.
This is responded to.
I've just heard that. And in my translation of what the message that you've just given, right? This guy seems to value religion and worship of God over everything else, and he doesn't want that kind of tradition to be diluted over time and lost. So he places a lot of emphasis on it. That's the reason for his exaggeration.
I must vouch for him for a little bit. Yeah,
I understand.
Because you've seen the good message of it,
that's what I'm trying
but there's
to say.
also people that are going to see the polar end. They're going to see the bad. But that's why you need to pick your words carefully. I get his similitude was trying to say that prayer is very important, but in trying to highlight that, he went to extremes which are unfounded and they're not Islamic.
I agree.
Paedophilia is abhorrent.
A paedophile, murdering, whatever, who prays is better than a non-believer, an atheist who doesn't pray. That's what he's saying.
The only thing
is, that's just outrageous.
Can he show any of that, what he said in Islamic literature? When I say Islamic literature, I mean Quran and Hadith.
So
if he can't, then I don't want to hear
and
it.
others listening, can you
I can understand,
put
but
our minds at rest?
I feel like you guys should.
Can I quickly? I just want to say in particular as well, I don't see how you've taken that message and run them out with it. In particular because he's saying that these crimes are already bad. To not pray is even worse, right? He's not saying either one of them is permissible. He's saying that one is bad already, and you know how bad you get treated for that. Wait. I understand. But this is worse. So this is not permissible. Just because one crime is worse than another, I can't go out and start touching up women just because murder and rape is worse. That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Yeah, well,
just because you get more time.
You can't see the other side of this.
No, I'm just saying. Just because you get more time, for a certain crime, does that mean that you're more likely to do the other crime?
Well, it just looks as if he's saying that you can do all this stuff as a Muslim, and you're still going to be better than someone like
This is what I'm trying to say.
that person who's an atheist.
How have you landed to this conclusion when he hasn't said these crimes are okay, but if you do this, you're going to hell? He's saying that this crime is worse than this. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm taking it from word what you said. I'm taking it from your words.
It's just human nature. If you put that and that together,
that's your nature. That's your nature. That's not him.
I can show you threads on Facebook of Muslims saying what the guy said was completely out of order. It's completely out of order.
Yeah. That's the message that needs to come across. Because loads of people are taking the bad side of this message. Understand why I'm bringing this up. It's so that I'm allowing you to refute that.
Yeah, but then why should I have to refute the words of some unknown guy that I don't know?
You don't have to, but this is your opportunity.
But I'm saying that. But you know, look.
Okay, to be fair, even for the refuting, right? I've just asked you, right? No one does other crimes because one crime is worse. They realize that they're all crimes regardless. That was the message. Word from word, what you just said. So I've just refuted you, right? In showing that no Muslim can see those words and say, you know what? I think I'm going to go groom a child today because as long as I pray, it's going to be okay. No, he's already set a standard for abhorrent crimes. He's set a higher standard for not respecting the religion and not praying. How have you then taken that and said, you know what? Grooming, child pedophilia and so on so is okay because praying is apparently the worst thing that you can do?
Now I can see that as a Muslim, they would take that exactly as you have described it.
Which Muslim?
Anybody. You're asking me.
No.
No. Sorry, I was just going to skip over that and get to my point.
I understand. No, I'm just saying when you say stuff. No. But the thing is, when you say stuff like that, you're assuming things about Muslims that aren't true. You're assuming the fact that Muslims.
Let me try again. So I can understand how the congregation might take that message that he gave and not take any bad message from it. However, what I'm worried about is people watching in who aren't Muslims getting the wrong end of the stick.
Yeah.
So that's why I bring it up.
And I understand that you're always going to get those small populations within any population. This is why we had Nazi Germany. I'm sorry, we have small populations and small fringes of populations whose lives don't end up.
Can I ask you? Let's say someone who listened to that and went out as a result of that and groomed somebody. Do you think he did that because he listened to the Imam, or he already had that in his heart?
I think you're misunderstanding my concern. My concern is that we're in a very divided country at the moment, and a lot of those tensions are over religious misunderstandings. I said religions.
So then would it not be wise, and conducive to actually approach Islamic text and the Islamic community who don't seem to be putting forth that sort of narrative and speak to them rather than making assumptions first?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but for the wider public, there is a problem with misunderstandings between religious and non-religious people. And I see through the comment section people looking at that video, 90% of people are misunderstanding.
Do you know? But
this is why I want to bring it up because.
But I think in London, where there's a mosque like almost every mile, or a Muslim who works with you or lives next door to you, there really is no excuse for ignorance.
And on top of that, I just want to make a comment on the fact of this comment section, right? When we talk about YouTube comment section, we need to talk about the demographic that tends to comment on YouTube section, right? These are people with a lot of time on their hands because they don't have anything else to do, meaning that they don't have sufficient human contact most of the time. Most of these people are outcasts, so they don't even have like that empathetic, social skills that other people have. So of course, these people are going to be taking the message quite terribly. But for the majority who don't spend their waking moments on the internet,
I'm worried about. They're going to be misunderstanding and maybe deliberately misunderstanding sometimes, and that's going to lead to more breakdown in society.
And
so we're going to try and
those people who would intentionally misunderstand would do it regardless of this guy
I think you're right.
If they have evil,
you're preaching to the converted as far as
that's
these
the thing.
people
Look, there's not an inkling. There's not a bit of an inkling in my mind that says to me, grooming might be all right. You know, at least I'm better than him because I pray, but I'm a groomer.
It's like Tommy Robson's fans, right? We all know they're just converted football hooligans, right? If you want anger, you're gonna go and find it. They don't give a shit about grooming gangs. They don't give a shit about British girls. They're just out here to cause trouble. You said the other day they were chasing police down the street. For what? For what?
Convince
man, let's go to Russia.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what they do in Russia. Yeah,
let's go see.
What I'm worried about
let's go to Russia.
certain people can convince themselves that Muslims give themselves a pass to do these crimes.
Maybe there are certain Muslims in you, but I don't think that's the normal.
No, I don't think it is. But there are lots of people. There are hundreds of thousands and maybe
To be
millions of
honest,
people
I
in this
don't go
country
to sleep thinking about
who are thinking.
I don't think
Are Muslims giving themselves this
problem
pass
that's
to do these
specifically
things?
in England.
A lot of people that need to be
Or
told
do you
that,
say,
okay,
I
that's
understand what you're saying. You could apply the same logic to.
Well, let's let her set the foundation.
Have been involved in either the abuse or the cover-up of the abuse of children. So you could say
I don't think white society are really worried about Catholics at the moment.
I know what you're saying, but I'm just saying that the same argument would apply to lots of groups. What I'm saying is that the example that you gave, that guy may believe in that, but it's not shared by anybody, most other Muslims.
Misconceptions over Muslims I'm worried about.
Well, that's right, and that's the worry, and that's the problem is that unfortunately we do have a media which is very biased against it.
Can we outline what sexual terrorism actually is?
Yes, sexual terrorism is FGM. There's nothing more terrifying than that. Honour killing and forced marriage. Honour killing is just murder. Forced marriage.
Sorry, let her finish.
Just a minute. Forced marriage is abduction and rape, kidnap and rape, and FGM is just the most abomination that ever any patriarchal society could ever have dreamed up to control female sexuality. Now, those three things are practiced in other religions, very few. They are predominantly Islamic, and that worries me. That is Islamic terrorism.
What if I told you female genital mutilation is actually an African problem, and not an Islamic problem?
You're confusing me. Then you're wrong. I'll tell you you're wrong.
I'll tell you
why you're wrong. No, let me tell you why.
You made a point. Can I respond? You made a point and I want you to respond. But can you just listen to what I say to the end?
No. Guys.
If we're going to have a conversation,
it came out of Africa.
can you tell me what countries practice female genital?
Egypt,
What other countries?
Sudan,
Yes.
Northern Nigeria, parts of
Northern
India.
Nigeria or whole of Nigeria?
Northern Nigeria.
Okay, that's
right?
a lie. But go on. Well, who else?
Well, all right. All
Kenya
of
doesn't
Nigeria.
practice.
Ethiopia.
Kenya does practice.
Right. Are there not Christians in Kenya?
There are some.
Namibia, Zaire, Uganda.
It's carried out in the name of Islam.
Madam, in all respect.
No, it doesn't. It's not Islamic. It's African. It's alright. That's not true. In the name
She doesn't want a conversation.
Islam.
She just wants to
Exactly. Is it carried out? Is it carried out in Indonesia? Is it carried out in Indonesia? Is it carried out in Malaysia?
Sorry, ma'am.
It's not carried out in all Muslim countries.
Ma'am.
So then it's not a
Sorry.
Muslim
Carried out
problem.
in the UK.
Ma'am.
It's carried out in the UK. Now, who in the UK? All right, just tell me who in the UK
It's a Muslim tradition, but
practices
it's not carried out in the most populous Muslim countries.
Where is it practiced?
I want to ask you something. Wait, can I quickly? Do you want a conversation, or do you want to just yell? No, I understand. No. You have to listen to people before you can say they're lying. And then wait, no, I understand. He's just giving you. Wait. I understand, but he's just no. He's just giving you examples. If you keep interrupting, I'm just gonna turn around.
All right. What have you got to say about FGM?
Now,
and sexual terrorism?
just giving you examples of places in Africa that practice them
Yeah.
with Christianity.
No, Coptic Christians.
I'd say forget Christian.
No.
Forget religion. I'm saying the people as general.
I just want to see if she wants a conversation. If she doesn't want a conversation, then we'll just turn around and we'll continue with our conversation because I don't really want this.
Yeah.
This is not what I came to speak as scholar
But
for.
he's just told me something that's not
Man, last chance. We want last chance. No, whatever.
Do you actually want to have a conversation, or you just want to start?
No, bro.
Yes.
me to stand and listen to you.
I'm not going to go on forever. I'm just going to make a point,
All right,
and then you
make
can
your
refute
point.
my point when
All
I've
right,
finished making my point.
Okay,
Is
make
that
your
fair
point.
enough?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Right. So I'm saying to you, this female genital mutilation, is a big problem. It's a bigger problem in Africa than it is in any other continent in the world.
Can we,
and it's not down to people's religions. They don't say Bismillah when they mutilate their women.
Can we also not limit it to female genital mutilation?
No,
Because
wanted to-
male genital
that's a
mutilation
totally
works as well.
different
The reason I want to point this out is because she'll say in the UK there's no FGM, there's no MGM. The Jewish community circumcises. Yeah, because you don't. Because she doesn't want to add it. Yeah.
People have with halal and kosher. They don't want to talk about kosher.
But they want to talk about halal. That's it.
Why does that not enter into the safe domain?
Because to remove the foreskin from a penis is nothing like the mutilation that takes place.
It actually makes your penis 4 times less sensitive.
It's nothing like the destruction of the
Also
female
makes you
genitalia.
it also makes you prone to erectile dysfunction.
It's nothing.
But apparently it doesn't.
Like
Mate, I'm fine.
I'm a men's rights activist, so you're not gonna school me on like.
So.
Now we were talking
Right,
about
so
FGM and
what I'm saying to you is it's quite it's an African thing, and it's a men dominating over a women thing. It's not Islamic. It's not rooted in Islam. You will not find You will not find a verse.
Anyone who does it.
You will not find a verse.
Does it in the name of Islam.
So
Everywhere it says that in the Quran.
No, because I'm telling you, in Kenya, the people do it, and they have no religion. They are spiritualists. They follow the religion of their ancestors.
Who's this they?
I'm talking about. Okay, do you want me to Google it? Yeah, we'll Google. It would just easily simple
No,
Google female genital mutilation. Yeah, and we'll see what countries.
I want to know why we keep forgetting that boys get their penises cut as well, and this is a genuine problem. This is a genuine problem. It's a completely.
What were the other
It's
two
a complete
categories?
same.
What were the other two categories of sexual terrorism that you brought up? What were the other two categories of sexual terrorism? Forced marriages.
And honour killing, and they are carried out in other
So you're
countries
saying,
that are not
in what countries does forced marriage take place?
It takes place in the United Kingdom.
Yeah, okay.
Which communities? Which communities?
Yeah,
In the United
which ethnic communities?
Mostly Islamic.
No.
In the Ghanaian, does it happen amongst the Ghanaian
Hinduism.
I don't know.
Does
Does it happen between Nigerian Muslims?
No. Yes.
It does happen in Nigerian Muslims. Can you cite me an example? But you're clear?
Does it happen
There's a European There's a European South.
So can you direct me to statistics to show in Nigeria that there's forced marriages based on Islam?
Yeah, exactly. Proof.
Nigeria, forced marriage, what are the statistics?
But it's not Islamic.
I think Prince Charles was in a forced marriage with Lady Diana.
Yeah, but his wife wasn't genitally mutilated. Mind you, he might have been. I doubt it. Look up London.
Right.
Look up the number of girls in London alone who are genitally
Right, so
in the name of Islam. When they do it, they do it in the name.
That's not true.
You don't tell them.
No.
You tell them that.
But give us something, a
You
verse,
tell
give us a
them
hadith.
that.
No,
You
you
tell
just
it to
you talk
them.
without evidence, without nothing.
sorry,
You
I
talk.
just brought up a map that shows female FGM in Africa. You have Mauritania, you have Senegal, you've got Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso. Are any of them like synonymous with Islam?
Look up Islam and ask.
No, we said FGM.
Which of these countries?
FGM.
Which of these countries are not Islamic?
Ghana's not Islamic. It's a mixed population.
But it has,
It's 60% Christian, and the rest is made up of Muslims, spiritualists, and all sorts. And I'm telling you, as a Ghanaian person myself, it's something that's done tribally. It's not got anything to do with religion. It's a traditional thing. If Muslims happen to practice that, if Muslims happen to practice it, it's abhorrent. I disagree with it. And if I knew of any Muslims doing that, I would warn against them. What I'm trying to say to you is,
why not try the London FGM?
okay, but look, I'm not in any law enforcement in UK. So how am I supposed to solve the problem of FGM in the UK?
It's like when you asked me for one example.
No, I'm saying
I
how
don't know anyone personally who's been mutilated.
But thank you.
It's not Islamic. Why are you taking
FGM is not from Islam. Neither is any sort of sexual terrorism. Muslims are inherently against that, or should be anyway. There's nothing from the Quran and Sunnah that says that you should sexually terrorize anyone in any other sort of mannerism.
It's actually quite the opposite, isn't it?
Islam is a just religion. It encourages mercy between the male and the female. And personally, as a Muslim, I wouldn't stand for any female being abused in the name of Islam.
Majority of these people who take part in this, are they actually practicing?
They're not. Most of them you find, they're drunkards, or they run with delinquent people.
They use drugs and alcohol.
They use drugs and alcohol. Like hard stuff as well, not your cigarettes. Like some of them are taking legal highs and all sorts. So yeah.
Exactly.
Bro,
it's not part of Islam, right?
It's not. That's all I've been trying to prove here today is Muslims, we know Muslims are, some of them anyway, are delinquent and do not follow their religion. All I ask is, if before you attribute anything to Islam, please go to the Quran and go to the authentic ahadith. Yeah, we have fabricated hadiths and we have authentic hadiths. Please make sure you have authenticated the hadith you're reading before you propagate it as Islamic. And barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa It would be good if you know the claims of, because I don't, but I would want to know what people. Are you still filming? I want to know what people are saying is the Islamic element of the grooming gang, because I would openly debate anybody, Muslim or non-Muslim, who would outright come out and say that grooming is. Well, then how can we say it's Islamic then? I'm saying to you it's an ethnic problem. I seriously do think it's
a coincidence then
and
that Pakistanis happen to be happen to be Muslims.
There are actually non-Muslim groomers, but Pakistanis are predominantly Muslim. So if there's a Pakistani problem or a Bengali problem, or if there was an Indian problem, it most probably would be a Hindu one, because the majority of Indians are Hindu, from my understanding.
The main issue is it's a problem that needs to be looked into.
It's a problem that needs to be curtailed. But the thing is, grooming is something that happens, over a course of time. How do you not know where your daughter is? Like Hamza's already spoken about how you must not care about your child. You must not.
There's a big problem with a breakdown of communities and families in this country, not just this country.
But could that be down to the long working hours, the cost of living going up, parents not being able to be in the home like they were before?
It's all sorts of things. I hear people saying, I heard Hamza, a young guy, talking last week. About the fact that welfare was splitting families apart.
How so?
And I've heard some people say that young mothers said, I can't afford you to be in my house.
Yeah.
Because benefits will be cut if the man's in the house.
So then so as a result of welfare, they're throwing their children away, basically. Well, then that's...
They've got less money to spend on the house or whatever they're spending it on. If the guy's there, because the welfare is set up so that he's assumed to be bringing money in. So if he's there, they give the family less.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem.
But then, is there not... Okay, so then that means the state has sort of... No worries, bro. It's created a dependence.
He's in.
Visit tango.church and give your prayers to Tan the man, peace be upon him. Tan is still keeping up the good fight on the streets of Paris.
Tan the Messiah.
Tan the Messiah. In fact, Tan was actually attacked in Paris a couple of weeks ago.
You want us to wait? All right. Hassan wants you to wait. Shall I put you on speakerphone?
Hassan wants me to wait.
I'll put you on speakerphone.
Let's put you on speakerphone. Tell him to wait for the video.
Content over everything from your community. Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen.
The Natural History Museum has a complete set of bones. Yeah, of our ancestry. Okay, have some bones from our ancestors. So we know what our ancestors were.
Let's listen to. Hold on, wait.
It's not just.
Let's listen to a real live Neanderthal. You can't argue with that. Let the Neanderthals.